Hi Steve, this is a video on dynamic components. I'm working in metric, so I hope that doesn't be a barrier to you. What I've got in front of me here is a room with the axis running through here, and I've got three components, and basically I'm just going to draw a coffee table. So I've got one component, two components, three components. In Internet or in SketchUp Pro you get these three buttons. One's for interacting, the other one is the component option box, and the other one is where you do you change the sizes and settings and positions of things of the component. So I've selected this component and the box automatically pops up. If I deselect it, it disappears. So I select it, it comes up. You can add these, I've pre-done these, but let's just do a new one so you can see how it works. So I draw some geometry, I select it, I make it a component, and at this stage it's asked me here I can set the axis. So I'm going to set the axis of this component. It wants it by default puts it on that corner, so I'm going to set it in the center here, and I can click it 3 times, and then I can create it, and I can just give it a name, BOX. So I can create that now. So now I've got this component with the axis set up at that location there. So now that axis here, that a component, I can add in attributes. That means I can set characteristics, locations and heights and dimensions of this box. So I'm going to add in the position attributes, and I'm going to add in the size attributes. And I work in metric, so it's set up in inches. I'm going to change it to metric. So there's our box size, our position from the x-axis. So from this here location here, which is the center of the model, that box is positioned, I'll draw that in actually, from here to the center there, let's have a look, is 15 to 1, you see, so from the axis of that component to the axis of the room is that position, and from here, let's escape that, from here to here, never had that happen before, let's rub that out. So from here to here, from there to there is 79, so let's check that. There you go. So this is in centimeters and this is in millimeters, so that's why the decimal point is in different position. So if you divide that the air measurement by 100, you get that one. This attributes, components attributes box works in centimeters, and I have the model set up to work in millimeters. Okay, I hope that explains that to you. Let's rub that out. And what's the other measurement there? We explained those two. And the not centimeters is the blue axis. So at the moment this component is, I've just moved it up the Z axis, select it, and you can see it's changed. What? That's it, and now we've explained that. I'm going to delete that. I've pre-drawn these three components, so this is a coffee table, so I've created a left side, a right side and a base. So let's do that. We're going to locate or reference all these from the center of the axis here. So I've set up the axis to this component that's in the highlighted the blue to the center, and then this component I set up the axis to, actually it's up there at the moment, so I'm going to set it down here. So I click once to locate, and then you can set the axis positions, but I'm going to keep it as it is, so it's going to be red, blue axis direction. So there we have it, we have that one set, and I've already done that one. So let's explain a few things here. I'm going to group this now, make it a group, and I'm going to call it my coffee table. So I click on this heading and call it a coffee table. C-O-F-F-T-A-B-L-E. And now we have a group called coffee table, and it contains a shelf, a right side and a left side. I'm going to redraw this group. Redraw just means you select the component and click redraw. Let's redraw and redraw. That's just refreshing the page basically. So there we have our model. Now here's the reason why dynamic components are handy. If I was to scale this model now that I have, say I want to scale it and I want it to be a bit wider. When I scale it, you'll notice that it goes out of shape. That's because I haven't fixed the positions of these components in relation one to another. But not only that, I'm going to undo that. And I forgot to tell you something. I fixed the thickness of this. See, it's in black here, and the rest are in grey. So I've made this one grey. I'll explain that in a second. If I was to scale this model, you'll notice it falls apart, and that side there gets thicker than 18mm. It's 39, but the one that I fixed the width to stays at 18 when I scaled it. So that's why you need to fix the sizes in your attributes, components attributes box. So let's go back here, and in order to fix a size, you select the component. I know it's the left and right side, so I'm going to go here. In order to fix it, you have to press equals and then put in your size, 1.8. And now it's fixed at that side, so when I scale it, it'll stay at 18mm. So this, and that one's already preset. Okay, so I scaled it on that red axis, and our component is fixed to size. Let's redraw that. Right. That's the thicknesses. Now the size of this box is 500 by 400 or 40 by 50 centimeters. So I'm going to fix those as well. So I'd say that equals 50, and that equals 40. That equals 50. This is fixing the component size. Now they're fixed, but you notice that their positions are not fixed. That's why they're jumping all over the place, and you have to fix them. So I've got the sizes fixed. So if I scale it in any direction now, whether it's up or down, it jumps back to the size that it should be. But the positions are not fixed, so they're jumping around. This shelf here, you notice that the size of that is changing because it's got thicker and wider because we haven't fixed it. So let's go back up and look at the shelf. There's the shelf. The thickness, we want it to be 18 at 1.8 in that direction. Now it's gone down to 18, and we want it to be 400 or 40 in that direction, and we want it to be 50 in that direction. See the way it's all gone into size now. That's a fixed size. So the sizes are all fixed, so it doesn't matter what way you scale it now, they stay those sizes, you see. but their positions are jumping all over the place. That's because we haven't set the positions. You see? So let's set the positions. Hold on, that shelf never got fixed there. I should press equals 1.8. There we go. There you go. So it doesn't matter how you scale it, it stays correct. Right, so I'm just going to refresh these just in case there's something not right. Refresh. Just refresh and redrawing each component. Okay, there's our final locations of where everything is. So let's have a look at it. So this coffee table component is one group. It's sitting in our model now, and you can see it's not positioned at the axis here. It's away from the axis. So look at the position in the coffee table. I'm looking at metric, and it's saying it's away from the axis by that size. So I'm going to make that equals 0, and you'll see it pops back to the center of the green axis, and that equals 0. And now it's all lined up at 0, 0, 0, right in the center of the room. And when I click that component there and check the axis, you see that axis, that shelf is right in the center as well. So it's all lining up. So I'm just doing that so you can see how you can move things around. So let's set up these sides in relation to the base. Well, at the moment we have we want the shelf to be say 10 mil off the ground or 100 mil off the ground, so that equals 10 centimeters. So now it comes up 10 centimeters. We want the right side, which is this, because we're looking at the model back from the behind at the moment. That's from the front, so that would be the right side, that would be the left side, but I'm working from behind, so that might be confuse you, but anyway. We want the right side to stay on the ground, so the z-axis equals 0, and we want the left side to stay on the ground, equals 0. Okay. Now we want to position them along the y-axis, which is this green axis, so we want them all to stay level with at 0, position 0. We don't want them to move along the green axis. So we say that equals 0, and that equals 0, and the same goes for the shelf, that equals 0. So they're all lined up now. So the only thing now is to position these left and right sides so that they're on the ends of this shelf. So at the moment it shows you that the X position of this left side here, which is the left, is 17 there, and the X position of the right side is 7. So I'm going to change that, and I'm going to say that the positions of these is going to be, if you think about it, the width of the shelf is centered, so we want to move half the width of the shelf to the left and half the width of the shelf to the right. So let's first of all put both panels in the center so you can understand. So I'm going to say that 0, let's put that one in the center, and this is the left one, 0. I didn't put in the equal sign, that's right, equals 0, and now it's jumped to the center. Remember, I just want to say that equals 0. So now they're sitting on the center with their axis. Let's go into the model, click on it, and the axis reference is on the 0 position. You see it's on the 0 position on this blue component on to the right here, and the axis position on this side is the same, it's there on this side. So I set the axis dead over here. So now all I need to know is from here out to the end is half the width of the shelf. So I want the red axis position to move out to here, half the width of that shelf. So the way I do that is, I know the length of the shelf, so if I divide that by 2, that's my distance. So let's come out of the model. There's my shelf width, which is, where is it? Which is 40. I could divide that by 2 in my head and say it's 20, but dynamic components, I don't have to do that. I can do this. I can say the x position of that right shelf, which is this one, I want it to move that way. So I say that x position equals the width of the shelf, which is that, divided by 2, and I'll press enter. And notice how it's moved out to there. Now what's happening there is this here is meant to go that way, not that way, so I have to put a minus sign, so it equals minus, and now you see it's jumped out to the right position over to there. So let's work on the other shelf. The other shelf, the left shelf, which is this one, we want it to move out half the width of the shelf. So this is just clearly F saying equals the width of the shelf divided by 2, enter, and there's your position. So now we can look at all the positions of these. These have all gone black, so now that they're black, they're not open to movement or change when I scale the object. So let's scale it, and it'll keep popping back to the same size, so you can't change the size. Now say I wanted to change the thickness of these components. Say I wanted to have 36 mil sides. Well, what you can do is you can use this component option box. Basically, my component is called a coffee table. I can add in here values for these components down here. So I'll just do one. Let's add an attribute, which is, I click on that and I give it a name. I'll just say thickness. Thickness. Okay, press enter, and I'm going to say that thickness is, what you can do now is, let's escape that. Over here you've got a little box, it says details of the thickness, so I'm going to click in there and set this up as it's a measurement I want in centimeters. And what this is doing is it's going to create a box over here in this options. So here are the options here. You can the user can see this attribute, or they can edit a text box of the attribute, or they can select from a list. I'm going to say they can see, they can edit the attribute. I'm going to put this in as millimeters. Click apply, then a box appears over here. So I can edit this box. I can put 18 in and press enter, but it's not doing anything. All it's doing is it's changing that size there. Say if I go over here and put in 20, it changes it over here. That's 2 centimeters, 20 millimeter. So you say, what good is that? Well, if I come down here now and say that the length of this is ZX, which is the thickness of the shelf in the blue direction. what I can do is that cell equals that thickness. Press enter, and then that shelf will change that to 20. Let's do the sides as well. Say that their cell equals the thickness. Enter. And this one, that cell equals the thickness. Press enter. Now if I go over here and change that to 30, all these sides will change thickness. Apply. Do you see? So if I go 60, apply, they all change accordingly. So that's how you set up so you can change things very quickly and dynamically. Now if you wanted to add other things like movement or copies or rotations or anything, this is how it's done. So you select the component that you want to move. Say we want to move that shelf up in the Z direction just by clicking on it. See here, I was going to click on it. I go to the shelf and I add in the attribute on click. Right. And the on click has, I can enter in what's called a function. The functions are here. So what I'm going to do is, when I click it, I want it to animate, I want it to move up the Z-axis. So let's do that. So let's look at these functions. In the functions here, you click function, click the down arrow, and then you can see these functions here. So let's see if we can go down here. It says on click functions. So here we're going to have, we're going to do an animate. So let's click that one and then press insert. It puts it in there. So animate what attribute do we want to change? Well, let's click that. Say we want to animate the Z-axis, and then you put in your different states. So I'm going to put in, these are distances along the Z-axis. So I'm going to put in 20, 30, and 40. And press enter. You have to press enter. Now let's test it. So I click on here, click on there, and there it moves up. So you notice what happened is I moved the thickness of it. I put it in the wrong box. You see, I animated the Z thickness. I should be animating the Z axis. So let's go back in and change that. So I can select that and then click Z, press enter, and then use the on click function and click. So now it's going up and down. You see? That video is, if you want to learn anything more specific, let me know, and I'll do a video on it, or you can ring me up on Skype and I can tell you things over Skype, and we can share ScreenLeap or TeamViewer. You can share screens and you can talk and explain things and ask questions. I hope that you like that. I'm going to redraw this model because that should, I didn't do it. I've set up the thickness. Oh yeah, that there's not been set now, so I have to reset that to equal. That equals, where's shelf thickness, equals thickness. Enter. There we go. Because we reset it earlier accidentally. So now, see, there we go, Steve. I was talking about hiding things when I was talking to you about the hide issue. I might as well show you that now. If I wanted to hide something, say hidden, well, on the hidden here, it's got true or false. At the moment it's false. That means you can see it. If it's true, that means it's hidden. So I can put in here an equation. I could say a function if that cell equals if if z-axis, right, if the position, if z equals, say, the 40 position, if it's 40 mil up from the floor, then my condition, my result would be comma through. That means it'll hide, and if not, it's false, F-A-L-S-E. So there's our conditions. So let's do that. Let's test that. I press enter. Now if I click up one more time, it should hide. See, it's hidden. I can't get it back now. Just undo. You have to program it. But basically, what's happening is I was clicking something, it hides, and now I can't. It didn't come out on the Excel sheet. But anyway, I'll talk to you if you want to follow up on this. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.